We stayed another night, and then in the morning they checked and they were still down. They were good, but they were concerned about her because she had been choking during feeds. While I was feeding her, she choked and she turned blue for like 5 seconds, if that. Her mouth was blue and it freaked me right out, but I immediately was smacking her back like crazy just so that she would stop choking, and she did, and then she regained color in her face and everything. So I told the nurse about it. I was like, I didn't like when that happened. That was really scary. And she's just was like, oh yeah, that shouldn't have happened. So they were kind of concerned about that. I just wanted to let you guys know, like, we were there for a week. And all of the days kind of blended together because I was just stuck in that hospital room. I did not leave her. I did not leave her. I was in that hospital room with her 24/7. The only time I left the room was for like 5 minutes at a time to either sterilize my breast pump or to get some water. All of the days kind of blend together, so I'm kind of confused on what days certain things happened on. So bear with me. I'm trying my best to remember. A blurry, overwhelming experience where just so many things just happened. So she choked about 3 times. In one day and then 2 the next day. Twice she went blue in the lips, and the nurses and doctors were concerned because why is she choking? Why is she turning blue? But one of the nights the night nurse came in. They just switched shifts. She came in to do her vitals, and she noticed that she was breathing very fast. She was just breathing way too fast, and her oxygen levels were dropping. So they had to hook her up to oxygen, which was extremely scary. I was crying the entire time that this was going on. Like, I just don't even want to think about it. That was one of the hardest things that I did not know if she was okay, or if she was going to be okay. I did not know, and that was really scary. They hooked her up to oxygen, and they also put in a feeding tube because they didn't want her eating by mouth in case she choked again, until we found out why she was choking. They didn't want to feed her by mouth, so they gave her an NG tube, which goes in your nose and down your throat into your stomach, and she was on oxygen. And that was really hard. So also they did another chest x-ray because they wanted to make sure that why she was having trouble breathing. So they did another chest x-ray, but this one was like a machine that came to the room, and they put something under her and over top of her, and they took it that way. It wasn't as good as the one that we did before, the day that we came in, but they did that, and I got the results, and they said that she had pneumonia. And there's 2 different types of pneumonia, but this was one that she caught from somebody, is what they told me. And they said that they thought that she might have aspirated milk, but since it wasn't in the middle, it was off to the side, that it was pneumonia. So I just bawled my eyes out, and they said that we would have to stay there for another 7 to 10 days, and we were already in there for like 4 days at that time. I think 3 or 4 days at that time, and I just wanted to take my baby home, and they told me that she had pneumonia and we would be there for another 7 to 10 days while she was on antibiotics and stuff like that. So I lost it. I just couldn't hold my tears. I was just bawling my eyes out. I didn't understand why she had pneumonia and who gave her pneumonia. I asked if there's people coughing when we went into the ER, and I was like, could she have caught it in the ER? And they said possibly. And I'm like, well, then why did you make me take my 3-day-old to the ER? You should have let me go to a place where there wasn't sick people everywhere. I was really annoyed. And then the morning came and the actual doctors came in and they told me that she did not have pneumonia. She aspirated milk. And I was like, then why did that lady tell me that she had pneumonia and she caught it from somebody when she aspirated milk? I thought, I'm still confused by that, but she didn't have pneumonia, and I cried for no reason because that lady mistold me things. And that's just like, don't tell me things unless you're like sure, or tell me that you're not sure. Don't tell me that you're almost positive that my daughter has pneumonia. So that was really hard. That was one of the hardest nights, that and the first night that we were there. So since they said that she could be taken off of the feeding tube, but she had to stay on the oxygen because she was having trouble breathing, and they wanted to give her time to heal her lungs before they took the oxygen away. So we were basically trying to wait for her lungs to be better and so that she could be off oxygen, and then we could go home. So the next day, I think, or maybe it was the night, I don't know, they tried to take her off oxygen, and it lasted about 3 hours, and then they had to put the oxygen back in. They tried in the morning to take her off of it again, and then they ended up putting it right back on, and they said that they were giving her too many chances. She's not going to get better unless we let her stay on it longer so that she can heal. So we waited a 24 hours of her being on oxygen, and then we took her off of it, and immediately her oxygen levels were dropping. So they put her back on, and I was just like, okay, this is not good. Like, why is she still on oxygen? She should be okay. So I started freaking out, thinking maybe there was something else going on. Why does she need oxygen? Why is she fine when she's on the oxygen but not fine? But they kept lowering her dose, trying to wean her off of the oxygen, and she was on 10 cc's, which is the lowest amount of oxygen possible. Like, the lowest amount possible. You can't get any lower than 10 cc's of oxygen. So she was like barely on it, but she still needed it because when we turned it off, she would drop. So then that day they tried to take her off of it again, and she was okay. She was keeping her stats up. They weren't like the best, but they were good enough that she didn't need the oxygen. So we couldn't leave just then. They wanted to monitor for 24 hours after the oxygen. So they took her off the oxygen around 12 on Thursday, and then we checked it frequently. I would go up and I knew how to work all the machines because I had been there for so long, and I watched the doctors, and they knew that I knew how to use the machines, so they let me check it myself, and I would update them like her stats were this, and they would write it down. I would check the stats like every 15 minutes because I was terrified that she wasn't able to breathe properly, but she was okay. A couple times they went down a lot lower than they should have been, but they went back up and they were around 95 for the most part, her oxygen levels. She made it to the 24-hour mark and they said that we could go home. So we went home. And I don't know, she seems to be okay, but I'm still worried about her because we have not checked her oxygen levels since we left the hospital a week ago. So yeah. But she's still okay. She's okay. All of the things that they tested for came back negative. It was a rough experience, and I was really upset that we were in the hospital and this was happening because she's a newborn, and the newborn stage goes by so fast, and I just felt like I was being robbed of having a newborn because I couldn't hold her, and when I did hold her, she was hooked up to so many wires, and it made it hard, and it made it hard to change her clothes because of all the wires. You had to like put the wires through her clothes, and the IV was so big that she could only have one sleeve in and the other arm had to be out of the clothes. It's hard to change her diaper because of the wires. It was just hard to feed her because of the wires. It was impossible to breastfeed her because of the wires, and the thing in her nose and everything. So it was just like, it was a traumatic experience, and there's a lot of things that I forgot to share, or I didn't share, or just it was traumatic. It was very hard, and since we were in the hospital and they weren't feeding me because I wasn't the patient, she was the patient. So even though like I was 3 days postpartum, bleeding all over the place, 3 days postpartum, I wasn't being taken care of, and I wasn't taking care of myself. I only showered once when I was there for that week, and I felt disgusting. I didn't want to leave her to go take a shower, and I was kind of scared. Like, I didn't know there was a shower until like day 4, and then I was pretty scared to go there to take a shower because I didn't want to leave her by herself. So one time my mom was there, she stayed with her while I took a shower, which made me feel better because even though she's hooked up to everything, I did not want her to be by herself, if that makes sense, because the nurses don't stay with them 24/7. They just kind of walk the halls, and they could be with somebody else, and I just didn't want her to be alone. So it was pretty bad. I did not eat very much. I look anorexic, I'm not gonna lie. I still haven't ate very much since she's been born. I'm just worried about her. So that is where we have been. I know I kind of disappeared for a week after she was born. I kind of disappeared for like a week and a half. I wasn't planning on it. I was planning on uploading that day that we went into the ER, but things happen that you don't expect. I just wanted to update you guys on what happened with Aria and why we were gone for so long. I did post a picture to Instagram when we were in the ER the first day that we got there, but Dan saw it and he told me that I shouldn't post that. It's personal. And I did agree with him, so I did take it down. I know a couple people saw it, but not too many people saw it. So I took it down, and I just wanted to wait to update you guys until it was all done with and over with, because if like some creepy stalker person found out that I was in the hospital and found out which hospital we were in and where we were, and just something terrible happened with that. I didn't want anyone to know where we were, plus I didn't want you guys to worry about her and stuff like that, and I just was not on the internet while we were in the hospital. I was just too focused on her, making sure she was okay. I barely even updated family members on what was going on other than Dan and my mom. I hope you guys aren't upset with me for not sharing this with you guys sooner, but I am sharing it with you now. She's okay. We've had frequent doctor's appointments since it happened to make sure she's okay, and she's doing really well. So no need to worry about her. I will see you guys in my next video. I will show some clips at the end of what I did film that week. I stopped daily vlogging because of the hospital, and I just couldn't keep up with it. I was just too upset, too focused on her, and I just thought that I would just do it this type of update when we got home. So that is what happened to Aria. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's kind of sad. At least it has a happy ending. Give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.